Back for another segment of Q's Corner brought to you by Dunk Mama Media. We always have special guests on this platform. Today's no different. It's always family. Honestly, I feel like it's always family, and today is family too. I want to introduce to you guys Jon Mercado. Jon, how you doing, baby?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. What's up, everybody?
No
I'm
problem.
excited about this.
Thanks for being with us, bro. Just want to share some of your time. Well, thank you for sharing your time today and asking you a
Of
few
course.
questions so you could tell your story and update us with what you have going on now and all that good stuff.
Right, right.
So the first question I like to start with, man, I love movies, Jay, and one of my favorite movies is Brown Sugar. And one of the questions they Diggs asked was when you fell in love with hip hop, but I want to switch it and ask you, when did you fall in love with basketball?
Oh, it's a easy and tough question. I swear from even the beginning, like my favorite baby pictures of me is always like when I had a basketball in my hand. I remember ever since I was like 5 years old, I had a basketball. I guess I've had it for a long time, and it didn't have any bumps anymore because I was dribbling so much, and I didn't know, but that was like the ball I loved. And ever since we were young and we had to dress up for Halloween, I always wanted to be a basketball player. When everybody was saying what they wanted to be when they grew up, they wanted to be like policeman, fireman. I always wanted to be. I always said basketball player. So I don't know when I guess it was just when I was so young. I was always in love with it. I was watching Warriors, watching Michael Jordan play, and nobody ever had me to force me to do that. So I always, ever since before I can remember, man, I just always in love with the game.
So it was just always a part of you just ever since you were little.
Yeah, ever since, like all I knew was basketball. I thought it was weird when other people played sports that it weren't basketball. I just thought that was the same way for everybody else too. So it was kind of weird for me, knowing that other people like other stuff. But yeah, for me, ever since I could crawl, I had that basketball in my hand.
Now, from falling in love with basketball
Right.
to playing it and realizing that I'm good at basketball, do you remember around the time or the age that you can remember, like, you know what, I belong on this basketball court?
Q, it was I think for me it was a different learning experience, because ever since me and you were younger, the people out there don't know that we used to play together. Like when we were like 10, 11 years old, um, the only thing I knew was that all my friends were really good, and most of our friends that we played with were older. But we didn't know any better. We just played with our friends, and it wasn't until I think seventh grade where I wasn't playing with you in the high school division, or we were playing with the older kids. I was playing with kids in my grade, and so I remember this little league over there in Alameda, where I was from. I started averaging like 35 points a game. And my dad had to bring my birth certificate to every game that I played in my own age group, because nobody believed that I was that age, because every time anybody would see me, I'd be playing with the older kids. And so then I was like, okay, I not only did I love it, but like I'm improving on this. And it I thought about it sometimes too, but then back then when I was playing with you guys, like everybody was better than me. I still felt like even though I was good in my little area, like whenever we'd play somewhere else, like I'd see some, tall kids, some athletic kids, some kids who could shoot really well, some kids who had crazy handles. So I knew I belonged, but I always knew like there was always another level to get to, especially because practice was never easy for me too. So I never thought that I was good enough for like I knew I belonged, but I didn't know that, you know, I was like too good, or I didn't think I was just like crazy better than everybody else.
Now, yeah, I'm glad you brought up AAU basketball because I definitely was going to bring it up when we played, for the
Yeah.
Talk Skills AAU with shout out to Coach Parker, Coach Pierce, rest in peace, and Worm, and everybody else we played with, Alex. Um, I remember AAU basketball being such a pivotal point in my life because I feel like to this day, I'm still close with everybody I played ball with for the most part. I know a lot of student athletes will see this, parents will see this. Can you tell them how vital it was or how important it was for you to be able not to grow up, not to only be able to play with your friends, but to build relationships and friendships that last a lifetime just doing something you loved back then as a kid?
Well, I think for the most part, our dreams change. And just now, like, we all thought we were going to make it to the NBA. I remember when me and Al, we got our first letters at the same time at school. We thought we were going to go to the same college and play in the same. We all thought we were going to play, either for the Warriors or some other NBA team. But growing up older and being more mature, it's like how it's crazy to me how even though I might not see or talk to some friends that I played with a long time ago, whenever we see each other, it's like picking up right from that same day.
Mhm.
Like we all kind of act the same, but we're still more mature. And it's crazy because without basketball, just like how some of you, like if you don't see some of your friends after you're going to school with them for a while, you might never run into them again. But with basketball, it seems like we can always find that we always have that connection and we can always link back up with each other. Because like I said, our dreams change. So like you, some people might try to get into music. I never thought that I'd be not playing basketball, but I'm still teaching the game. I'm running my own program, and so I never thought I'd have to run my own business, but it's like that. And some other people that we grown up with have the same dreams. And it's so crazy that, even if I don't run into somebody, like somebody else I'll meet will be, oh yeah, I know you because you used to play with who? Him, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And then so it's just crazy how it's still a small world and how even though, we might not be in the NBA, basketball has affected our lives so positively, in crazy ways I would have never imagined.
I love it because it's given so many different opportunities, whether it be to coach, train, or venture off into another career or another job.
Right.
Um, I specifically wanted to do this interview with you because I'm very proud of you, how you taking something you love and a passion of basketball and turned it into do it better basketball. I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. Straight up, I love it. How did you, or at what point did you know you wanted to, coach and be skill development and do all of these different things with the game?
Well, look, Q, it's I was a senior in college, so everybody out there, I played D3 at UC Santa Cruz, so I wasn't like a high profile athlete. Um, but it was kind of a gradual realization to me because sophomore year there or freshman year I got honorable mention All American. So I was like, like I'm still gonna have a chance to play professional, whatever. Um, and then sophomore year during summer, I went out to the Philippines to go train with some professional teams out there. Um, and I wanted to stay, but my mom, she was like, "No, you have to finish your school out in America." So I went back and I I realized that there was a lot of opportunity out here to, not only make a career out of it, but like also, make it positive for a bunch of the kids. Because I realized a bunch of the kids out here, um, and the one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to be a coach and teach was because, yeah, you've had great coaches, right? Q, like, and we've also had our share of some coaches that we feel like didn't really know what they were doing or didn't coach the right way. Uh, and so I was like, that was my biggest reason to want to be a coach because one of my coaches before, he told me this quote, and I'll never forget it. So one of my coaches told me I couldn't do something, right? You just take whatever, like, and then one of my other coaches told me I could do it, but they're the exact same thing. But as a kid, when your coach tells you you can't do something, you believe it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, too, when your coach tells you you can do something, you believe it too. So I'll take it back to we were playing a game. against some school from San Francisco, and I had a bad first half. I was like 0 for 6 from the 3-point line, I think, and Al wasn't playing, so I had to step up, and I wasn't playing very well. We were down by like 15 points at halftime. We get in the locker room, and I'm like, man, coach is he's gonna yell at me. He's gonna get mad at me. I don't know. I was like, oh, I was dreading it, and he goes up to me. He goes, "Hey, John, in practice, right? When we shoot, you make 5, 6, 7 in a row, right? No problem, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, well, so you missed 6 in a row. You can make 7 in a row, easy." And so that clicked for me, Q. And so we went out there. I don't know what it was, but I believed it. And I went off in the second half, and we won the game. And so it was just stuff like that jogging in my mind, deciding on whether to go play or whether to go coach. And actually, one of the directors of the camps that I went to before, he asked me if I wanted to help out his summer camps. And I did it all summer after my senior year because we trained a lot too. So I was getting ready to go out there. And then a couple of weeks before I was supposed to leave, he asked me if I wanted to come work with him. And it was all over after he taught me the game. He taught me how to run a program. He taught me skill development. And what I liked was when I was working with him, we worked with a lot of kids who weren't really good. We weren't really talented. We weren't really athletic. So it made me become a better teacher because I had to explain things at the very basic level. Because a lot of the athletic kids, a lot of the talented kids, if they just watch you do it, they could replicate it. But a lot of the kids, they have to understand why we dribble this way, why we look this way when we shoot a layup, why we need to protect the ball a certain way. And so after that, I fell in love with it. And then I was like, I could try to do it by myself. And so I just started my own business, and then now we're here.
And I think that's amazing. I think that's a beautiful thing because since I've known you, you've always been the type to be giving. And I think that trying to kind of just comes from all of us and our families. And we're just blessed to have that type of, atmosphere around us. But to see what you're doing with the kids now. And I also wanted to interview you because I know there's a lot of coaches and trainers and people who want to get into it. The key part that you just said though is that your mentor that you followed, you had time to really study and he showed you the
Right.
steps of how to do that. And I think a lot of people don't have that opportunity or they don't have somebody that can, just kind of show them the steps. What would you tell somebody who's getting involved with whether it be coaching or training? What's some advice that you would give them when starting out?
Oh, I mean, my number one advice would be not even as a business person, but just as a person that wants to be getting into coaching, like you got to study, and you got to study the right things. Because there's a lot of trainers out there, and I can't knock any of them, because whatever, if they train a lot of kids and their kids do well, that's their thing. But do it for the right reason. Like I was never into it for the money until later on, where I figured out, like I could still have a great product and still take care of my family that way, and still, make it fair for everybody else who's working with me. But I would say, you know, study and study like the way the game is supposed to be played, the way kids are supposed to be taught, and that's not easy to find. It brings me up trying to figure out why a lot of kids suffer on the defensive end now, and I keep going back, and I tell this to everybody who asks me to. Kids, it's hard for kids to play defense nowadays. It's not necessarily that they don't want to, it's because it's hard to teach the kids how to play defense the correct way. And so and it's not very fun. So I get that. uh so when somebody's trying to teach, it's being able to teach and reach out to the kids and have the kids buy in and have them understand why you're teaching them a certain way, and actually knowing what you're doing too. You don't know how many people I've coached against. Our team would be on, man to man, but playing good help side defense, and I hear the coach on the other side yelling, "Run our zone offense! They're in the zone! They're in the zone!" I mean, that's just one instance. And, like, I don't know if I'm coaching against a dad or if I'm just coaching against, somebody who runs their own program as well too. But, I feel like when you're trying to do this and try to have people pay you, you have to study your craft. You have to know what you're doing. It's not just about watching a bunch of Instagram videos, a bunch of YouTube videos. It's um like like a lot of people, they watch NBA player workouts, and or they watch, high profile teams like North Carolina players workout and stuff like that too. But at the same time, how many people are going to coach kids that can handle a North Carolina workout, that can handle an NBA workout, and I got the privilege to watch a lot of the NBA teams practice before when they'd come into San Francisco, because my old job was in San Francisco. So every time they'd come in before they play the Warriors, they'd practice at our facility. So I'd see a bunch of the NBA guys do their stuff. And before, I thought that they'd be doing some crazy workouts, they'd be doing some like 5-ball dribble, like that. But it's crazy because they were just doing the same drills we were doing as kids, or in high school, but every little thing was smooth. Everything was perfect. They would try to make every single shot. And so not being able to just teach the basics, and teach your kids, like, know your skill level, but being able to reach them and have them understand why they need to learn and why they need to perfect the simple things. Because another big thing I've always learned is that you never try to skip steps, because they'll catch up to you. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I would tell somebody trying to first get into this. But first of it, I mean, I know I've been rambling a little bit, but just to really love it, or else it'll eat at you. Because a lot of coaches will be like, I'm tired. But if you really love it and you love teaching, it's part of that grind. Struggling with the kids that don't get it right away, that's part of it. And that's a part I love, because then once you stay with them and once they keep working, you'll see the passion, and you'll see how they can get.
You good? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I think you're right, and I think that a lot of people don't take that into consideration, how much it goes into preparing, whether it be the train, whether it be the coach, and how much it really takes to put into these kids. I think it's hard for somebody like yourself nowadays, because kids have so much exposure to social media and the internet. And, like, you hear so many people say, I don't agree, but I know why they're saying it. They'd be like, oh, Steph Curry messed the game up because now all these kids are just trying to shoot threes. But I'm like, kids emulate everything they see. When AI was doing a crossover, all kids was doing was a crossover. When Mike used to do reverses, kids would be on a fast break and just try to do a reverse wide open, For you, though, being a coach and a trainer, what do you find any difficulties with, trying to show your kids, and then at the same time, them trying to emulate their favorite college, NBA, and even now, like, high school kids are on TV. So you got the Imani Bates, you got the Chet Holmgrens, and all of these talented kids. As a coach, do you find it difficult to, kind of reel your kids back into reality? Like, you can be there, but it's like you said earlier, it's steps.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I've had the luxury of dealing with a bunch of great kids, a bunch of coachable kids, and you know, a bunch of great families that understand what I'm trying to teach them. And I let my kids, if they can shoot out there, because we practice shooting from far away, because I deal with some of the like smaller kids on my team, especially when we play against zones. The only open part is a few behind the line, and I'll, like, if you shoot at a great rate in practice, I'll let you shoot it, and I'll give them that confidence, because it opens up the floor for us a lot more. But the one thing that I think the biggest thing I've had to reel back the kids on is like trying to jelly, like, so I'm like, yeah, it's okay to do it, like on a fast break and stuff like that. But if you're in traffic and stuff like that, just try to finish it. And then, because I'd rather have you make it than, you and I be a little upset that you just missed an easy opportunity like that. um, I tell the kids, don't just watch, their highlights. I was like, because Amani Bates is, one of the kids that everybody wants to be like, but not everybody's 6'10" or however tall he is with a, KD wingspan. And I was like, watch, if anything ever happens, watch this kid, how many hours he puts in the gym to work out, because that's what everybody misses too, like all these kids, whether on their Instagrams or just dunking, whatever, like whatever they're doing, they're putting a lot of time into the craft. And so, a lot of my kids aren't really athletic like that, who is really, so I'm like, I really preach, like, just like how I was able to play the basketball for a longer period of time, I was able to shoot. I was like, I wasn't the best dribbler. I wasn't very athletic, because I was able to play with guys like you, Q. So like, I understood that in order for me to, be able to get to the next level,
Mhm.
to shoot, and now it's more to defend.
Now that says a lot because, and I think that's cool that you still give your kids freedom, but I think with also within the freedom, you have them work on it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
some coaches that get mad at the kids, like, you guys are just coming out here firing up threes, or you guys are just, but if you see your kids are trying that, why not say, okay, let's set some time aside. So if you are going to try to do that, let's practice it. Let's work on it.
Right.
And I think that says a lot about you as far as just being a teacher. And I commend you because I've seen, to each his own. Every trainer has their own way. Every coach has their own way. But I've always admired the coaches and trainers who take the time to show and break down to a child or even an adult why they're doing certain workouts, why they're doing certain moves, why they're doing certain exercises. And I think it just goes a long way. Did it freeze?
For a little bit, but it's all good.
I got two more questions for you, Jaden. I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, bro.
All right.
With everything, with your basketball experience and everything that you've gone through, and now to see where you're at and where you have the vision of it going, what advice, or what are you most, not advice, what are you most thankful for from basketball that you've been able to apply to not only your career, but your life?
Oh man, where do I start? Right. I mean, let me just start with saying that I just feel thankful that, even though I'm not getting paid to play basketball, I'm still able to take care of my family by just having this. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people always ask me, like, what else do you do? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, because they don't, they just see me on the court, and a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of the business side of it,
Mhm.
or the organizational part of it. And that takes a big, a big part of me. And so everybody's just really shocked when I tell them, like, yo, this is my baby, this is what I do. Because I think most people that try to do this, they don't do it on a scale like how I'm trying to do it, or they have their own job. They'll go to the office, and then after that, then they'll come in and help too. Or little only thing,
Mhm.
but really training on this side. Um, and so I'm just thankful that, since I've been trying to do this, is, I haven't needed to get another job. Um, I've also, been very thankful that, I remember, like, all the things that, not all the things, but a lot of things that I've learned from my good coaches, from my good teammates, even the stuff I learned from my bad coaches, from to no what not to know not to know. I'm sorry, not teach my kids a certain way or not talk to these kids a certain way. So I'm thankful that I went through all the hardships. I went through that whole grind of uh, trying to get somewhere, always reaching my goal, but always keep going. And, I just, I teach every day, everybody, reach their goals, keep chasing their dreams, whatever they want to be. And even if people aren't like me that always want to be in basketball, like use basketball to get into a good school. And, for the most part, they do really well. Just because they've been in the gym with me since they were babies. And so they've always been dribbling and stuff like that too. So they kind of picked up the game naturally. But I did have to catch myself and, like, what are you doing? I'm like, wait, hold on. They're 8 years old. And then I was like, all right, whatever. I gotta step back a little bit because I didn't want to be like those dads where, the kids, and their dads kind of had that tension. And some people can do that. I just didn't want to, I don't know how long I can coach my kids. I just want to make sure that if they do love the game, that, they love playing it. And that was the biggest thing for us. Like we love the game, so we always wanted to play it. So I'm thankful for a whole bunch of stuff, man. The list goes on and on. I'm thankful for all the friends that, I can still call, we'll still pick up from day one. Uh, I'm still thankful for like all the people who have tried to help me along the way and who still will help me along the way. And, because a couple of years ago, I guess it was like 8, 9 years ago, before I started running my own camps, I didn't think I could have my own camps. I was like, I don't know if I have enough kids to have a camp and like be able to be successful at it. And a couple of the parents were like, no, for sure, we'll help you. I was like, I don't even know how to get a gym for camp. And so they're like, no, we'll help you. And so I kid you not, Q, like I thought there was gonna be like 20 kids the first day of camp. I had like 80 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So like a lot of kids just walked up that day. I remember that day I didn't even have enough basketball for all the campers. So I had to go to the store after the first day of camp to buy like 30 more basketballs. And then I was that day I was like, oh my God, I'm so blessed that people believe in me, and I'm not gonna stop. And it's very humbling that a guy like me who wasn't a high profile college player, didn't play in the NBA, could have a following like I have right now.
And I think that speaks volumes, right? Like I mean, I'm biased. I grew up with you, so I know you personally, but I think it just speaks on the person, the man you are, and the character you've always had. Through these interviews I've done thus far, everybody I've interviewed everybody has said something about character. And that's just always stood out to me. And I'll say it, all the people that I personally know and the ones that I don't know, they're just good people. So I feel like good things just naturally happen to you. One more question before I let you go, Jay, and I appreciate your time today, bro.
It's all good, man.
For the people that don't see this, whether it be athletes, parents, coaches, trainers, any advice that you would give them just in life, words of encouragement, any gem that you would drop, what words of advice would Jon give them?
So for the kids, my ultimate suggestion would be, if you love it, go for it. You don't need your parents. You don't need your parents telling you what you can do, what you can't do. If you love basketball, you got to explain to your parents that this is what I want to do. And don't find any excuses. A lot of people that I know, like, oh, I don't have a gym to work out in. But there's a bunch of stuff you could do just dribbling in your backyard or in your driveway. You could always work on being athletic, especially with the social media stuff that you can find now, or just trying to be fit, or trying to be a better athlete. There's always ways. So if you don't want to find excuses, first thing we do is just look up to the coaches that you trust, and if you don't find anything after that, then try to do your own research. And for the families out there, I would just say enjoy it. Don't get all stressed out. I know everybody wants their kid to go D1 or make it to the NBA, but from my personal experience, there's going to be a lot of kids who are good at a certain age who aren't good later, and there's going to be a lot of kids who are good at, not good when they're younger, just like how I was, and they grow up and you just keep working out. And so everybody's like, I'll tell the parents, like, everybody's basketball journey is the same. Like, don't be all caught up if your kid's not great at an early age. You never know when a kid's going to grow. You never know when kids' coordination is going to come into play. You never know when their love for the game is really going to just take off and get them to the next level. Um, there's a whole bunch of stories of kids I know that kids were good at, when they're younger, and everybody thought they were going to be good. And then for various reasons, they don't turn out how everybody thought they were. And there's a lot of kids out there that nobody even knew about, and now they're, making a huge difference in the game of basketball, whether it be coaching, whether it be playing professionally, or some other things. Everybody has their own basketball journey, and you know playing anywhere after high school is a huge life-changing opportunity. um, Whether it be, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, junior college, there's always going to be opportunities. But if, your child is, and you guys are in it for the right reasons, and, always knowing that hard work pays off, and being a good person also, always pays off as well too, because you never know who's gonna, if you treat one person the right way, you never know how they're gonna take it, and they might help you out down the road as well.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I just want to, again, John, I just want to thank you, bro, for your time, sharing your story, sharing your words of advice, your words of encouragement. And just, I'm happy for you, bro. I'm proud of you, wishing you the
Thank
best
you.
with everything, with Do It Better Basketball and anything else that you put your hands on. And any way that I or Dunk Mama Media can help with our platform going beyond, you always got our support, bro. And I hope you have a great day, bro. Thank you again.